Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for spending this time with me. Today we have an interesting subject to discuss. We're going to be discussing, it turns out that I saw, how should I put this? I saw on, I think it was Joy Ann Reid today, that she had a program where Mr. But what was interesting was what he had to say about evangelicals. And that is what we're going to discuss. But bear with me 1 second, my friends here on Facebook Live. I'm going to be also coming to you shortly on Blog Talk Radio. We'll be coming to you shortly, so bear with us a second while we kind of get things straightened out here. We've been a bit slow in getting the start because I wanted to change the program up. I changed the subject that we're going to talk about. Earlier we were going to talk about some issues with the women, but I wanted to get started with the issues concerning what Reverend Barber calls heresy, the heresy of the White Evangelical Right movement. And I'm going to have a lot to say about what he told Joy Ann Reid on a panel earlier today. So stick with me as I continue to share this stuff to get the show going. Anyhow, how was your week? First of all, thank you so kindly for being here. We're going to have a good show. How you doing, Mike Jones? Do you think we're headed for a civil war? That's from Facebook Live. No, I don't think we're heading for a civil war. Cooler heads will prevail. Donald Trump has to create chaos. The only way Donald Trump wins is if he creates chaos. And that is what he's doing now. If you notice the attack on the media, the attack on Hillary, the attack on the women who came out, the attack on everything. By creating that chaos, he wants to give us a feeling of instability. This isn't something that isn't known across the world, right? I'm from Central America, Panama. That is what I call standard modus operandi. What that means is that is how they behave. That is how people in leadership who are in the minority behave in order to keep instability. And with instability, what you get is people being so fearful that they either vote against their own interests, they do things that don't support their own interests. So I don't think we are at the stage where anyone needs to be concerned, let's say, of some sort of a civil war. Now, I tell you the converse. He wants you to believe that assuming he loses, because he's already taken the position, this election is rigged, that in fact, a lot of fearful people would do one of two things: stay home because they fear any potential violence at the polls, or two, they will vote for him because they believe that if Trump doesn't win, then our stability as a nation, who knows, those crazies. Look, let me tell you something. Like I always mention where I'm from for one specific reason, because I understand how these things work. I understand how the governed by a very small, unwanted minority holds on to power, how they get powerful. And that is the only reason Central America, South America, and all these countries. Buenos dias, primo. Ray Holder, my cousin from Panama, just chimed in. Anyhow, listen, I'm going to tell you this. The instability that you see in Central America, many times Americans believe that they are immune to that they've been immune to that because America has been fairly prosperous and there hadn't been a group of folk who felt disenfranchised. The difference here in America is a bit more, it's tougher, right? Because the new disenfranchised people, which is the lower middle class white Americans who feel an angst right now, a justifiable angst right now. The one thing they are armed. And when you have a leader that some of them believe in, who gives mixed messages about violence, then that is a possibility. But as far as a civil war, the structures are not here in America any longer for us to have a civil war. Let's see, Colin Kaepernick, starting quarterback of the Sun. Do you think that is a distraction? No, it's not a distraction. I mean, I don't think so at all. What he is doing, I think, is important. I mean, police violence against people that look like me is a reality, whether many want to believe it or not. That is just a reality. But let's get to the program, and then I'll get into the questions and answers and all that kind of things. Kareem Parman, great. Yes, he is firing at his party, but he's doing that for a reason. But anyway, folks, the title of the show today is going to be Reverend Barber's excoriation of the White Evangelical Right. The White Evangelical Right. And then I start. The White Evangelical Right is a disgrace to Christianity. Reverend Barber, and by the way, just to be frank with everybody, I am a humanist, but most, as you can imagine, most of my friends tend to be Christians or otherwise. Reverend Barber is in a scorching critique, calls out the White Evangelical Right for exactly what it is, a form of heresy and theological malpractice. We will discuss that, as well as the pass that Donald Trump continues to get from many. I want to talk about that pass. I heard Van Jones talk about that a while back, but it's deeper than what Van Jones has been speaking about. But it is sad. But you know, beforehand, I want to let you guys know that this is a call-in show. If you want to speak on air, you can go to call 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495. Notice it's a different number than we do on Thursday. Thursday, we are on air with KPFT 90.1 in FM, 90.1 FM in Houston, the Houston metropolitan area, and of course on Facebook Live and online as well. That number is different. Chime into the KPFT shows on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Central. That would be 4 Eastern. And chime into this show. This is on the Coffee Party Network. This one is at noon every Saturday at noon. Trump is a racist. He should drop out. Trump is not dropping out of the race, my friend, but we're stuck with Trump. But anyhow, so that's the reason the number is different. This is a call-in show. We can take any number of calls. I'm on a network now that can have an unlimited number of calls as far as how many people can be on at the same time. So you can give me a call at 646-929-2495. Again, that is 646-929-2495. And as Mike Jones and Kareem Parman and my cousin Ray Holder and Mike Jones all know, you can also leave me messages here in the scroll here in Facebook. We'll talk about it. If you want me to tell folks some other stuff or mention it on air, I'll do so as well. But folks, I think by now you know what time it is.
It's time for the blog post.
Okay, the blog post today is titled Reverend Barber Calls Out the White Evangelical Right. Because for this particular post, most of the words are not mine. Most of the words will be Reverend Barber's words, but I think it is prescient. It is something that we must understand, we must take, and also we must reflect with the folks that we're engaged with. Here it goes. Reverend Barber on Reverend Barber summarily called out the White Evangelical Right for their distortion of Christianity, which he says is a form of heresy. Reverend Barber on AM Joy blew away the facade of the White Evangelical Right distortion of Christianity, calling it heresy and theological malpractice. He did not mince his words. Here's what he had to say. What we see with so-called evangelical right or white evangelical right is a form of heresy, a form of theological malpractice. Reverend Barber said, I am an evangelical, and evangelicalism in the Bible starts with a critique of the systems of poverty. It is very easy Luke chapter 4 verse 18. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me to preach good news as evangel to the poor. And then it talks about the broken heart of the sick, the blind, and all those who have been made to feel unacceptable. It is a strange form of theology. It traces all the way back to those who were able to support slavery on Monday, but then goes to church on Sunday, where you somehow dismiss all of those issues. You dismiss a candidate that wants to take people's health care. You say that's Christian. When he wants to deny living wages, you don't have any critique. And now even with his violence and pathology that's been alleged towards women, and somehow you suggest that as long as he is right on the Supreme Court, prayer in school, and tax cuts, somehow that is a Christian position. That's actually, folks, theological malpractice that borders on a form of heresy in the 21st century. Now, later on, Reverend Barber reiterated that the issues that the white evangelical right are pushing have absolutely no theological basis. Here's what he says. The problem is that in the scriptures, justice and healthcare, living wages, and how you treat the least of these and the poor and those on the margins, there are 2,000 scriptures. 2,000 scriptures, Joy, that speak to those issues. We have allowed many times in the media people to suggest they have a values platform without a critique. Again, we have allowed these people to be the people of value. We have allowed the Republican Party to come out and say, we are the party of moral values. We are the party that cares about people. We are the party that watches that is the constitutional party. We are the part. False. Saying something doesn't mean it is true, but not calling it out makes it true to many people. And that is what we've not done as a liberal base, as a progressive base. Whenever these people make these false statements, it's incumbent upon us anywhere, no matter where it is, to point these out, because it becomes a reality when that is not done. It becomes a reality in the minds of many. And remember, many people are not as read as the people who follow shows like Politics Done Right and others. Many people are not as informed as the folks who follow this show. So it is your responsibility, my dear friends, your responsibility to go out there. And when you hear the crap, when you hear that stuff, we are the moral people. We care about you. We care about Jesus. We care about all these things. You must call them out then. And you don't have to about it. You don't have to about it. You just mention the facts of who are the people that really do care about folks, who really do care about women, who really do care about everybody, not restricted to just a few. Let's remember that. That is not Republican. Republicans have taken that mantra through projection. They projected the democratic values onto themselves, even as they have a platform that beneath the facade is fairly, and I mean this to my Republican friends as kind as I can, it is fairly evil. Anyone who puts women in the position that they put them without a problem is evil. Any group or person who considers minorities less than is evil. Anyone who can watch cops kill people. You can watch cops kill people in cold blood and justify that, and somehow see the same thing we are seeing. Live through my skin, live through my eyes. Live through the eyes of many. Live through the eyes of women. I'm not a woman. And I can tell you one thing. Women have it the hardest. Women have it the hardest. I have womanized myself, and not womanized in a bad sense, but made myself attempt to look through the eyes of women based on some of my own prejudices or false beliefs in the past, to see exactly those realities. And it is the Democratic Party, though not perfect, that attempts to make that change. It is progressive values that stand for those changes. But finishing up the blog before I got on my rant, I'm very sorry about that, but some of these things just tend to hit a nerve. If anyone wonders why religion is in a steady decline in the United States, wonder no more. Religion is doing it to itself. Many religious leaders, specifically on the right, have sold out their people. They keep many of them by using their faith as a weapon, as a chain, as they pilfer them all. Religion, in many instances, have become an extension of unfettered capitalism. It is now another tool the plutocracy used to maintain its power over otherwise good and decent people who have been led astray. That is what the current state of the white evangelical right have become. But I don't want me specifying white evangelical right to be simply taken at face value, because I tell you something that I want to bring up. Here in Houston, when we had the amendment, or when we had the law, I don't remember what the law was called, the hero law here, which was intended to protect everyone, gays, lesbians, blacks, whites, everybody. The law protected folks against, and again, I can't recall all of what hero stands for. I forgot even what the hero really means. But one of the folks that caused that law to go down in flames were many black pastors misleading their pew right here in Houston, Texas. So just as I excoriate the white evangelical right, the black evangelical nobodies, and the reason I call them nobodies is that because they are not right or left, these particular guys, they are money. That's all they're for. Of course, the right is exactly doing the same thing. When I mentioned in the blog earlier that that the religion has become a tool of the plutocracy, that is exactly what I mean. They have become a tool of the plutocracy. They are pushing values that are not in concert with their Bible. And Reverend Barber laid that out quite well. When Reverend Barber said that there are 2,000 passages that talk about justice, that talk about the poor, that talk about all the things that it is expected that religion is supposed to do. Yet, what they are pushing is, oh, we want this guy on the Supreme Court. And what is this guy on the Supreme Court going to do? Oh, they think that somehow they're going to put down abortion. Well, let me tell you, there are many times when Republicans had total control of our government that they never did anything about making abortion illegal. They never did anything that protected that rebuilt the conservative base. They never did anything to support conservatives. You know, all the conservatives wanted prayer in schools. They didn't get it. They wanted to be able to have this is when Republicans are in total control. They wanted to have unfettered charter schools. They didn't get it. You see, the Republican elite is using the Republican base. The Republican elite, and if you notice, that is how Trump is working it as well. And he's, in as much as he's not a smart guy, the people that work with him are pretty smart. The Republicans, there are the Republican elite, which are pretty darn similar, and bear with me here and don't throw spears at me yet, are pretty darn close to some in the establishment Democratic Party. They believe the same things, okay? But those in the establishment Democratic elite, they don't have to lie and say what we want to do is, they don't have to lie and cheat on the social issues. But Republican elites have to lie on the social issues, because the right, again, the evangelical right, which actually behaves, if you take a look at their policies and what they believe in, they're not much different than the Taliban. Think about it. They are not much different than the Taliban. And I'm not being excessive here. I'm not being overblown here. If you go policy for policy, the way they want to put women in their places, that's not much different than the Taliban. The way they want to curtail They want to curtail people's lives and what they are able to do. Not much different than the Taliban. But anyhow, so the reality is the mainstream Republicans, they don't want to do things like get rid of abortions. They don't want necessarily charter schools and all those kinds of things where, that turns us into a theocracy. That is also bad for business. And when I say bad for business, I mean monetary, financial. It's terrible for business. We need, there's just a certain amount of theocracy that we can tolerate in this country for business to be successful. I mean, come on, what's going to happen to all the strip joints? What's going to happen to all those real big money makers, the bars and all of that? I mean, if the evangelical right gets power, we're right back into the times of prohibition. We're back into all our vices are going to be withering away. If they really get what they want, the total control of all of what we do, for all those people that are trying to get marijuana legalized, forget about it. Estoy muy bien, Dario Skichoy. ¿Cómo estás? Luchando con la vida como siempre. Anyhow, as I was saying before I forget to mention again, this is a call-in show. Give me a call at 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495, and we'll talk. I don't know. I think I may have forgotten to share the show this morning on one of the channels. So while I'm talking to you, if you have any questions, also you don't want to call the 646-929-2495, and I think I better put that into the notes. Let's see. Call. Bear with me. Call 646-929-2495. Is that the number? 646-929-2495. Yeah, call, and you want folks to hear what you have to say. Call and let's see what you think. 646-929-2495. Of course, if you have any questions, you can leave them right here in the area. Now, I wanted to talk about what Van Jones had to say about Mr. Trump, but before I kind of segue on to something else, I wanted to know if anybody else wanted to discuss the issues of the white evangelical right and what they're doing to the religion. Buenos dias, Rhonda Carrington. How are you doing this morning? Yes. Some of you're correct, Rhonda. Some of the media, they're finally starting to call out a lot of these people, and not only that, they're calling out these people as indirectly to call out Donald Trump as well. And one of the reasons they have to do that, I see you. I'm coming to you in a second, John. One of the reasons they must do this, Rhonda, is because they're realizing now that Donald Trump is also a clear and present danger for the media. And why is it a clear and present danger for the media? He's the type of person that will curtail the media. And if anybody fears that, don't forget that the next terrorist attack that we have, let's say it occurs into a Trump administration, what you can be assured of is that will be the template to use to create a new Patriot Act, which will get passed, because if he becomes the president, you can be assured that a whole lot more Republicans are coming into Congress with him, and the Senate will remain Republican. And again, if he wins, it actually means what occurred in 2006 with the Democrats, where we got a what kind of Congress do you call it? Actually, I think it was in 2008, a veto-proof Senate, or rather, filibuster-proof Senate. We may actually get that if he were to win. Right now, things look like it's impossible for him to win. But I tell you what, we all thought it was impossible for him to become the nominee as well. But let me bring a caller in before I go to my Van Jones rant. John from San Antonio, come on in, my friend.
Good afternoon, Egberto. How you doing?
All right, how are you doing, sir?
Good. What happened last week? Did you start your show late, or
yeah, last week I did start late. Last week I had to take the wife for a belated birthday brunch, so the show, instead of being at noon, occurred at 8 o'clock at night. And I simply forgot to post that on the site, but I know somebody would get me, and there it is. You got me. But come on in, John. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, the odds of Trump winning are pretty low. I mean, right now Nate Silver has him at 86%.
Right.
And also, Harry Enton at 538 says that looking back, there's never been any kind of comeback from this far down. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Right.
It's possible, but the odds are extremely thin that Trump is going to be able to come back. I mean, it's just, I mean, everything that I've been talking about for since I think when was it June 15th, 18th, something like that, when he degraded Mexicans, and everybody else knows about the birther comments, and so everything has come to pass.
Right.
This guy is just as awful as most people, most Democrats, realized, because I mean that everybody knew that throughout the whole birther movement, which is just still infuriating to me, and the way that he lied about it and said it was Hillary Clinton's fault.
Oh my God.
So I mean it's just, I don't know. I guess I do feel that that justice is hopefully going to be served, and I know that you put a clip up last night about Bill Maher,
right,
saying how people are not too bright, but I mean we still live in a majority country, and it looks like that Trump isn't going to win. And so, I mean, again, I encourage everybody to vote. I know there's early voting right now, people listening, and I think here in San Antonio it starts on the 24th. I'm going to vote early. I encourage everybody to vote up and down the ballot for Democrats. Hopefully they will take the Senate. One thing that has been going really well is the Catherine Cortez Masto race in Nevada. That has turned around, within the last week.
Oh, really?
There have been three different polls with her leading, and she's been down, the whole time.
Right.
Over Joe Heck. Joe Heck actually took away, his endorsement of Trump, and there has been a severe backlash.
Of course, there's a backlash.
Saying, I'm not going to vote for him.
Right.
So.
But I mean, what about that race in California with the multimillionaire that's a congressman in the Orange County? I forgot his name.
Daryl
Issa. How's he doing?
It's close. I mean, most people still think he's going to win, but I mean, yeah, the polling. I mean, I think when they actually had the election, it was within 5 points.
Right. Right.
They do that jungle primary.
Right.
So the Democrat was within 5 points. I think it applies to everybody. Yeah. So I mean, hopefully that'll be one of the races. I haven't checked. I think it was 22% chance that the House would go back to Democrats. They get 29% on Sunday. But it really is incredibly sad about. You touched on it very well in your opening statement. It's about how people are so, put into their tribal ideas.
Right.
They really do believe in this, trickle-down economics, which causes all this inequality. They'll even support a guy like Trump just because of their economic beliefs, which actually go against most of their
religion and their values.
Their religion, right, and also what will help them economically. Most people, trickle-down economics only helps about the top 20%.
Right.
And that's actually gotten even worse within the recession. So I mean, you make a lot of good points, and it is incredible hypocrisy. But I mean, it's just, it's great that all these things are being exposed. I think you kind of called it a few months ago when you said, the Clinton campaign's going to bring all this stuff out. And it's so funny to me to listen to Trump and saying, well, why is all this stuff happening now? And I'm thinking, well, because they have a disciplined campaign.
Right.
To know when to bring all this stuff out, And so that's, I mean, I don't know exactly if that the Access Hollywood thing was was put, leaked through the Clintons, but I think a pretty good chance that it was, and so it's just good to see that in presidential years, the American public, despite all the awfulness of Trump, it still seems to be making, a better decision than electing Trump, and hopefully they'll take the Senate back. Right now, I'm looking at it, PredictWise has it at 20%, so 1 in 5 chance of taking the House back.
Right.
I think that's a little bit conservative, because they do list all 435 races, and I've compared the two with other, sites, and that could be up to 25%. But
right.
It's also great that Obama, I noticed you put that on your website, that he's really calling the Republican Party out. I mean, not just Trump.
Let me interrupt here, because I'm glad you brought that up, John, and I want folks to hear this. There's a two-pronged approach that's been taken in the campaign right now. One is Hillary Clinton trying to reach both the voter, the independent voter, and the Republican voter, and in doing so, what she's making sure to do is not what Obama is doing. In other words, she's focusing on why it is best to elect her, and she's also focusing on why it is best not to elect Donald Trump. She's making it a Hillary versus Donald Trump race. Obama is making it a Democratic Party versus Republican Party race. And what I love that he did yesterday, he did two things yesterday. One, he wanted to know, why is it this late? There was nothing new about Trump that he's speaking about. There's nothing new about Trump's vulgarity and whatever else about Trump. And what he also pointed out is that if you take a look at it, Trump didn't just come into the party and change the party. The party created Trump. And what he then pointed out is how the intransigence of the Congress was held. How a Congress cannot remain intransigent if it doesn't have the support of the people, right? Because an intransigent Congress, if it didn't have the support of the people, would be voted out, and another set of people would come in to make changes. What they created an alternate reality, and that's what the president is it's Cleveland's speech and I posted both of those on my website, egbertowillies.com. And by the way, folks, go to the politicsdoneright.com page and go ahead and like it so that we can actually, the next time this show is out, bam, it'll come up in your thing and give you the opportunity to just click on it and it'll get started. So go to politicsdoneright.com and Politics Done Right on Facebook and like the page, please. And you can find all these articles that I'm talking about that I wrote this week on egbertowillies.com. I'm going to put that in the notes. egbertowillies.com is where I have those, all of the stories that I write. But what is important here is how he's approaching it. He's telling everybody, go out and vote Democratic. But Hillary's telling folks, go out and vote for me and not for this guy. And the reason she's doing that is there are people who will vote for her if they don't think they're voting for the whole Democratic call. Now, if the president, as the leader of the Democratic Party, I think those people who are open to that message would then look at it and say, oh, wow, yeah, Democrats haven't been doing this for me or that for me or whatever. His message is strategic, and in the places that he's doing it is strategic. Her message has to cover the entire country. I think I don't know. I imagine they're coordinated in doing this, but I mean, it's so seamless the way they're doing it. And that is why I still, in as much as it's a long shot, John, that is why I still have a little bit of hope that the House is still in play. Thoughts?
Well, I hope so. I mean, obviously, the difference between, 4 more years of gridlock or, actually passing, great legislation.
Exactly.
Again, what you were talking about earlier, I mean, I do feel that the filibuster should be eliminated if they do take the House and the Senate.
Right.
I feel they should do that. Because the Republicans have already said they're going to do it. I mean, McConnell said on Hewitt's show that they are going to do it. And Paul Ryan has also been talking about how, as the rules as they stand, they allow reconciliation, which is a 50 vote
Right.
premium, if it actually helps the budget.
Right.
But that's how some of the DCA was passed.
Without having to get that, yeah.
What they're going to do, all they want to do is cut. They want to cut the social services. They want to cut everything. All the people, who really need help the most, they want to cut them and give more tax breaks to the rich. And so they'll be able to do that through reconciliation, and yet it won't appear as radical as actually, changing the filibuster rule.
Right.
So that's what Ryan's been preaching over the past couple of weeks. But, I think his plan was obviously to have Trump sign those bills, and, the chances of that happening are pretty thin. I mean, Nate's numbers were, at the day of the debate, on the 26th of September, it was 55% chance that Clinton would win. Now it's up to 86%. So, I mean, this change has been, has been tremendous, and I'm just glad that the American people finally realized how awful Trump is, because, most of us have known this for a long time.
But you know what? Trump is playing a game that actually could work for him right now. And Trump is a high-risk player. And he is not, and he's simply saying that all these women that are coming out of the woodwork are lying. What he has successfully done is, first of all, he's successful. Well, the Republican Party and the right has been successful for a while. Is they have removed all the not reliability, but people no longer have confidence or no longer trust the media. The media has lost its way as far as most people are concerned. So when these people appear on TV, very few people actually believe what the media is saying anyway. So when these women come on as an extension of the media themselves, they're not believed, and Trump is out there pompous and he doesn't show any remorse or anything. And I am feeling that this, I'll be frank, I think the story came out at about the right time, but at the same time, sometimes I wonder, is it too early? Because we still have 3 weeks to go on Tuesday we'll still have 3 weeks to go in the election, till the election. And our media cycle, and Trump knows this, our media cycle and our attention span is so terrible that this story may just get old. Oh, yeah, he does all this stuff to women. Okay, next subject. And my concern is that WikiLeaks come across closer to the election time, in as much as then 30% of the people would have voted, but the WikiLeaks come on in the election time, and the media as a backstop, or rather as the balance for the coverage that they are now giving Trump, tries to give this WikiLeaks stuff legs. That's my concern going forward. I'm not sure what the results would be because we don't know exactly what's in WikiLeaks, but the Clinton campaign should know what's there. If at any time they had something explosive to talk about. So what's your thought about that? And folks listening on Facebook Live, what's your thought about WikiLeaks? Did this womanizing come out too early for Trump? Did we get this out too early? Will it change? Will it wear off on people and people start saying, well, that's what we expect, and other presidents have done things as well? I heard that was a message on MSNBC earlier today. We had people who are saying that right now. But anyway, what's your thoughts, John?
Well, I mean, first of all, you have to assume that Clinton actually did leak it. I mean, the Clinton campaign leaked it to David Fairnold at the Washington Post. Probably it is a way of knowing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, I think you have a good point. Maybe a week later would have been better.
Right.
Also, the last debate is Wednesday night, and the debate is Chris Wallace, who said he's not going to fact check anybody. So I expect to, I'm not saying Trump is always awful. But, you know, a lot of people did think that he did well in that second debate. I mean,
Right.
I don't, because I value the truth. And so for a guy who doesn't speak the truth, you know, extremely rarely, and Pence was also very untruthful. I mean, he lied about all this stuff that Trump said. It was so easy to actually make a video after. I mean, the Huffington Post did it first, and the Clinton campaign did it later. All the stuff that he denied, they just say, here's a video of saying the same thing. And he put his hat about Putin, and a week before he said Putin was wrong, you know, stronger than Obama.
What they don't understand is that there people who follow them are low information voters, low information citizens. You know, these are, and I'm not saying that as a to be derogatory against these guys, but I think, I mean, these are working people. These are people who have jobs. These are people who they get home in the afternoon. They're tired. They flip on Fox News, and Fox News lied to them. Fox News informed them. Fox News pretty much convinces them to vote against their own interests. That's what they know. One of the reasons that I'm never mad at my writing friends is I look at them for exactly who they are. Folks that are severely misinformed for a very long time. And when your reality is so much different than the real reality, it takes some time to get to you. You know, I mean, it's not easy. You know, if I tell you that trickle-down economics work, and the reason that it's never worked is because it was never really implemented as it should because of the Democrats, then at that time, you can realize what remain where you are. Let's see. Patty says, let's see. It's sentient. But HRC is smart to be nowhere on the airwaves as Trump defends himself. Yet she has to energize her base because Donna Brazil and DWS working with HRC won't help. Right. And actually, Brazil has a few problems herself with what came out in WikiLeaks. It kind of seemed like they try to create some sort of a collusion between the media and the Trump and the Hillary Clinton campaign, which wasn't the case. But anyway, folks, this is the call-in show. So far, the only person that's called is John from San Antonio. So if you want to call or leave some messages like and just did, Don just did, go ahead and leave inside of Facebook. Telephone number is 669292495. Again, that number is 46922495. I want to talk a little bit, and this one is a little bit personally for a lot of us, specifically those of us with some more melanin than others. I sit down and watch all that Donald Trump has done, and then I look at the president and all that he's done. The president has lived likely the most moral on both based on what most of us call, so let's say even the evangelicals call the moral style of living. The president of the United States, Barack Obama, that's the kind of life he has lived. And he is torn apart consistently by the right. He's berated by the right. And then comes Donald Trump. Donald Trump makes thugs, makes women abusers look like saints based on the power that he has used and the number of women that he continued to victimize. Yet when he's described on TV, the only person to date that I know have called him a thug is Van Jones. Because the things that he has done is exactly what thugs do. Donald Trump, thug. The first thing somebody should think of when they think of Donald Trump is a thug. If you had any person, and I have to racialize here, I have to. And for all my listeners, wherever you are, for all my listeners, wherever you are, static, Hey, my mother's online and she said that there's a lot of stuff on Facebook. I don't know. What kind of static is that? Anybody else hearing static on the line as well, or is that just restricted to some? Tell me in the messages down below so I can see if there's something I need to correct, because all the lines seem to be up and running and the lights seem to be blinking appropriately. But going back to the subject, here is the deal. If anybody with any amount of melanin, black person, Latino person, or whatever, were to do the things that Donald Trump's been doing, think about the adjectives the news media would be using to describe this man. He would have been called a pedophile by now. This is a man who looked at a 10-year-old girl and said, in 10 years, she'd be mine, or something to that effect. This is a man who talks about holding women's body parts. This is a man who said that he's done it. This is a man who grabs on women, kisses on them without them, even when unrequested, and not even unrequested. Think about all the things that this guy has done. Picture this guy, picture the president, Obama, doing these things. Picture Denzel Washington doing these things. And I'm calling these guys because these are guys that are well known. Think about Cosby doing these things. Once it was realized that Cosby did what they said he did, look at how quickly the establishment ran away from Cosby. Look at how quickly Cosby became persona non grata. Think about that. Two powerful men, Bill Cosby, Donald Trump. And Donald Trump still has the support of so many people, and especially the White Evangelical Right. Think about that. You wonder why people no longer care about religion, or why a large plurality of the American people have gotten rid or extricated organized religion from their inner being, from their whatever they do. That's a reason. Because it's been proven now that it's a farce. It's been proven that it's a farce. The fact that these guys, and it's not only the leaders now, the fact that these guys can support Donald Trump says it all. Looks like I have another caller. 620. This looks like Jack. Is this Jack?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Jack, how are you? Did you have your surgery, Jack? Jack.
Okay. I want to say this.
Yes, sir.
Because of, I'm going to make a criticism of the media, mass media.
Yes, sir.
That's causing Trump to air his diatribes. Okay, I have a dim view of Twitter, a very dim view of Twitter, and a dim view of the New York Times, especially.
Okay.
I only want to comment about that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I have a dim view of all of our media, to put it bluntly. Now, I have a dimmer view than John has. Let me make John happy, because this is what I believe. A lot of the media has some good investigative reporters. And by the way, as John would tell you, a lot of the media, a lot of the information we break, in fact, comes from the New York Times, some of their investigative reports.
Yeah,
it comes
Times.
Right, it comes from BuzzFeed. It comes from a lot of these guys go out there, and every one or two of them, they'll have a few people within their ranks that go out and do some good investigative reporting and come back. And then bloggers like myself and others will use that information. I mean, I've only broken in, since I've been blogging, about 6 or 7 stories that are original to me. Most of the other things have been taken stories from a New York Times, mixing it with a Wall Street Journal story, comparing them, and coming out with some sort of a different analysis than they came out with, based on being a regular middle class guy and not some elite sitting down in an office who has, as we will say, la mente trastornada, a way of being in their minds that doesn't work all that well. And that's what bloggers do, right? We reinterpret a lot of what others have written and maybe come out to a conclusion that we don't agree with. I mean, where data is absolute. So, I mean, as long as you have good data, people can look at the data, analyze the data, and say something else. You know, I mean, when the women come out, all these women come out and attack Donald Trump, the New York Times may have had a spin earlier in the campaign that these things have been explored before, and they've been deemed not to be of interest. Bloggers come into the fold and say otherwise. They come into the fold and say, wait a minute, but we have the New York Times saying this, we have the Washington Post saying this, we have all these other papers that have different people coming across, and we take all that information together and say, now how could you have come to that conclusion? Anyway, I got another call. Jack, I'll keep you hot and go to 323. 323, who do I have the honor of speaking with?
Hey, hermano, it's Max.
Hey, Max, ¿cómo estás, mi amigo? Talk to me.
I'm just calling because I wanted to find out what you think about. I'm not sure if this is okay to segue into another subject. I hear the previous subject. I just called in.
Well, look, it's your guys' show. Go ask it. If it's politics, we do politics done right. So whatever politics, you can bring it up.
Well, what I've come to realize is that we have this corrupt power structure, right? It's entrenched. Seeing with the WikiLeaks how they're actually playing us like fools, right? And they're talking about like we're fools, and that they're basically talking about, that we're a complicit, citizenry, and that we're basically talked about like we're sheep, and they're just figuring out how to manipulate us and hurt us and do what they want. Well, what I come to realize is that there's no way to fix this. It's done. The only way to upgrade this system is to literally, if everybody decides at once to say, you know what, we're voting pretty strictly no matter what, and that's it. We take them both down, the Democrats and the Republicans, and society.
First of all, you're right. Let me stop you there. Let me tell you where. Hold on, Max. Let me tell you where I agree with you. You're right. Both establishments need to be taken down because there's not two establishments, there's one establishment. The problem is the two establishments have different hinges. The Republicans have the right, the Democrats have the left. Now it turns out that left. Let me finish making my point. Let me finish the point though. Here, you're right. Let me back up. You're right. We have the left and right in the Democratic Party. You are so right about that because remember that the only monolithic party right now is the Republican Party, except, again, the establishment. Remember, I talk about having several things in common. But let me tell you what has to be done first.
But who's in charge of the Democrats?
Let me finish.
The left or the right?
Okay, go ahead. The Democratic Party is in charge. The establishment Democrats are in the same cahoots with the establishment Republicans. Now, I'm not talking to right-wing crazies now. Okay, they're in the same cahoots. They're run by whom? The plutocracy. But there are two different
right wingers.
What's that? No, they're not right. Don't call them right wingers. They're not right wingers. They're corporatocracy.
Yeah, they're corporate.
Exactly.
They're corporate right wingers.
Don't mix.
They're voting against the people for profit, so it's profit over people.
Yes, but right wing doesn't mean.
Value.
But my friend Max, right wing does not mean profit over people. Right wing is an ideology devoid of financial reality, okay? And left wing also. Here's the deal. If you take a look at what's really going on here, is that the plutocracy operates within two rails, right? The maximum that they will allow to the left and the maximum that they will allow to the right. We're in an imbalance right now. And even the plutocracy thinks that we're at an imbalance right now with too many crazies. The right has tended to be very crazy. We have the fringe left that is just as crazy as a large portion of the right. Just in fact, a friend of mine at KPFT talks about the circle, right? That it's really a circle, and what you find is that the left fringe and the right fringe, there's a part of intersectionality there. But let me get to the point here.
Yeah.
Right, let me get to the point here. This is what I'm really wanting to tell you. Right now, my concern, why I am a strict Democrat, is because of the Supreme Court and the types of people that will be on the Supreme Court under Democrats versus the type of folks that will be on the Supreme Court on the right. And here's my concern. My concern is that the right would do things that would make constitutional a lot of things with regards to the media and social and social values. And I'm not willing to take that chance. Now, where it comes to you,
but you're basically giving up your power, brother.
No, let me tell you what I'm doing.
I don't have any power.
Max, let me tell you what I'm doing.
For myself, I'm only going to vote as they command me.
No, let me tell you what I'm doing. Let me tell you what I'm doing. And listen to me here. You're a left guy, I know, and I want a lot of left folk to listen to what I'm saying. You fight a battle to win a war. You give where necessary to allow yourself to rebuild, to do the war. What I'm saying, and I've told this to all my lefties, because I don't think there are many people that are more left than I am. But what I try to tell folks is as follows. You fight to, or you brace to live another day. What you have to do is you have to keep the system, you keep the status quo until you have completed your job in educating, in convincing other people that they in fact have power. But you going out alone on yourself, by yourself, to do something is nothing better than getting shot. And then once you're shot, there are no leaders. You are a leader. If you're a leader, you have to act like a leader. You have to make the compromises that a leader makes. And what are those compromises? Those compromises are, say, I'll go with the lesser of two evils so that I can continue to build my base. The left base is far from being built. It is not built. The middle class centric, poor centric base that depends on a collective system where everyone has the support that they need has not been framed in people's minds yet. People still believe, saying to Americans that you afford free education, that the country can afford free education. A lot of people on the right and on the left don't believe that. Listen a little bit more yesterday. You hear a Democratic Senate Democrat come and start to speak. What are you going to tell the people in red states? They don't believe that you can do that. They don't believe in more regulation. They don't believe in more government. When the fact is we do need more government. We do need more regulation. Why we need more government? We need more government because the corporations have become so strong that they are in fact government today.
Okay, so
go ahead.
The point is what you're saying, and I think we have a little bit different understanding of it. The right represents a 100-year-old old money, exclusive.
That's not the right. Yeah, I tell you what, we only have 9 seconds max, and so I want to give John a quick time to come in. Come on in real quickly, John, because I only have 30 seconds for you.
If these two parties are all the same, how come nothing gets passed in Congress? Nothing at all besides appropriations bills get passed. I mean, nothing gets passed. We are more divided right now than ever, besides the Civil War.
Right.
So how say that, like, they're both the same, and that is the most historically ridiculous.
No, they're not. I don't think. John.
A lot of things that.
That's not what's being said.
Well, but it's having the same effect. They're getting austerity. They're making more profits. So all the stuff that you're talking about actually confirms what's actually what.
No, it's not.
Okay, stop, guys. We have to stop right here. Okay, we got to stop because it's so.
Are we getting austerity?
Are we
getting screwed? Are the people getting screwed over and over?
Because Democrats aren't in power.
Okay, hold 1 second, guys.
Democrats aren't in power.
Guys, stop for a second.
Yeah.
The show is over in 15 seconds. We got to stop. I'm going to continue this. Can you guys get onto Facebook Live so we can continue this? We can.
10 seconds.
Okay, you can stay on the line. The official, hold on 1 second. Folks, this has been Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willis. Thank you for listening to the show. You have a wonderful day. Facebook will stay alive, and I'll keep this alive. I think I can keep the phone lines alive a bit longer. But the official on air has just ended. So let's go ahead. Are you still there, John?
Yeah, I'm still
Are you
here.
still there, Max?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, good.
Well, my point was that we're basically what we're doing is reinforcing the fact that we are basically voting against ourselves, and that there's nothing that we're going to be able to do. We're going to come up with every excuse that we can until we decide, hey, you know what, we're done. We're not going to play your game.
All right, stop, Max. I got that, Max. Max, hold on, Max.
We're gonna on our own, and we take both of you.
Thank you, Mom.
We are not yours. You are ours.
Max, hold 1 second.
And until we do that, until we take our power, the only thing we're going to do is keep getting nonsense. Oh, bickering this or bickering that.
Max.
Let's just end them both. Let's
Max.
all decide it's over.
Max.
Both of these parties are done.
Max, when you're talking and when you're talking, can you hear me talk, or are you on a single line that you can't hear what?
I hear you.
So let me ask you as a matter of courtesy. When I ask my callers to stop, I beg that you stop so that we can get the conversation going on. Because you made your point, and I think what happened is there's some repetition. Let's do it this way. I want to ask you on live on this portion of Talk Radio, but it's supposed to be near and right here. So here we go. Who are you voting for? And I'll tell you why I'm asking there later.
Okay, I'm voting for Jill Stein.
Great. Now, what do you expect to accomplish by voting for Jill Stein?
My effort is to try to take down the corrupt system of power that has locked us out, the people and the voice, and is marginalizing us.
Thank you.
And is abusing us.
I appreciate that. Now, the next question to you is that, do you believe within your heart that enough people will be there to vote for Jill Stein? Yes or no?
Absolutely yes, because... Okay,
let's stop you again. John, Max, let me ask you this again.
Yeah.
Forget about the polls, forget about the media. We are on the left consider ourselves reality-based people. In other words, we are not the folks that are going to come out here and start talking about skewed polls and all of that. My question again is, do you honestly believe enough of the people that you talk to, forget about the people that are immediately around you? Because I'll tell you something, I would love to be able to support a left-wing candidate right now. The problem is the follows, and this is what I try to mention before, and this is where I need some understanding from folks like you, Max. You guys are leaders in these movements. You are. But the leaders in the movement also have to be responsible. And this is what I mean. I have not completed my job. What's my job? And it's your job, and it's your job. We have not sufficiently made the case to enough Americans, to a majority in a four-way race, to a plurality of Americans, to go in there and say we need to get rid of those who represent Democratic or Republican Party. Can't you agree with that statement that we have not yet reached that point?
No, I can agree that you do not make the case for that, but I don't agree that as a whole we have not made the case. I believe that a lot of people are not making the case, and you are doing it now. You're saying we can't do it, so you're making the case against it. No.
You're missing my point. I don't think. Let me tell you again. It's not. What I'm saying is this. When I supported Bernie Sanders wholeheartedly, I went out and I did everything I could, including having house parties, including bringing people to the fold for Bernie Sanders. We did that. I was a Bernie. We had a lot of people, but here's the problem. there were more Hillary Clinton people. There were more Hillary Clinton people. And
it was the power structure that kept us out.
That's not, I am not.
They locked us out.
But we are not this. We are not. We are not. Listen, we're not talking about how things should be. We're talking about how things are. And that is what I try to tell my lefties. I am like, brothers and sisters, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. It's not something that we can throw our hands up in the air, or we can just go among people who look and feel like us, who think like us. That's the reason I do this show. And that is the reason I engage conservatives. That's the reason while people look at me and say, oh, you're crazy to let those folks come on your show and talk like that on KPFT, or just spew that stuff out. I want those guys to have some sort of a relation with me so that I can make the case to them. And you have to do the same thing, and John have to do the same thing. Because we have a lot of work to do. Movements take time and effort. Movements don't occur because you know you're right. It's not enough to be right. That's my thing that I'm trying to take to you, my brother. It's not enough to be right. And what John is saying about the differences in the parties, remember how I started the discussion. I said, the establishment Democratic Party and the establishment Republican Party owe to the plutocracy, but the bases are different, meaning they have different things that they must do to keep their base. The right hand side hurts people to keep their base. The left hand side helps people to keep their base, not as much as we want them to do, or they don't have the policies we want. Free education. Make sure that corporations don't go unbounded. All those things that we believe in are still not the core of the Democratic Party, but we could make it the core of the Democratic Party if we first work with the current Democratic base the way the Democratic base is, not the way we hope that it is or hope that it would be, but the way that we intend to make it. You go ahead, Max.
Okay, can I ask you something?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you something? Is that okay?
Yes, of course.
A couple questions. Do you honestly believe, as you've seen, all these CIA intelligence types, right-wingers that are now backing Hillary?
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically standing next to these people and you're voting with them.
Mm-hmm.
These, do you actually believe that the Democrats are somehow not run or not taken over completely now by the right wing? Do you honestly believe that?
Let me, first of all, the reason I don't want to answer just a yes or no is because we have to get definitions right.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say absolutely the Democratic Party is absolutely moving to the left. There is no chance that it's not. I mean, you look at Bernie Sanders' support. Bernie Sanders was thinking about running in 2012. He didn't run because he didn't think he would have any support. He ran this year, and he got, whether 40, 43, 44, 45%, whatever you're going to say. And you look at the people under 45, they support Bernie Sanders. You look at Elizabeth Warren. You look at Jeff Merkley. You look at all of these people. If you compare the Democratic Party to the way it was 10 years ago, to the way it was 20 years ago, to the way it was 30 years ago, it is undoubtedly moving to the left. There's no historian that'll question this. I mean, what you're saying, I mean, it sounds very good as far as rhetoric, but, what you're not thinking about, can I finish my thought? What you're not thinking about is things that Egberto brings up. Roe versus Wade will be overturned if Trump is elected. 20 million people will lose their insurance if Trump is elected. The social safety net will be cut if Trump is elected. All of those are undoubtedly factual things. Global warming will not be addressed if Trump is elected. I'm not saying that Hillary is going to do a great job on that. She's not. I mean, I was very concerned about her thoughts on the the no-flow zone in Syria, and I brought that up, and I was telling Bernie, on various podcasts, that he should bring that up more often in the debate. So, I'm not a huge Hillary Clinton supporter, but I mean, I do agree with Egberto, is that, you just can't say that, if you vote for, if you tear both parties down, which, even if you're like thinking that let's set out a plan, most people would say that that's going to take at least 30 years. That's never happened in the history of our country. We've always had two strong parties at least. And so, I mean, I just think that instead of voting for Jill Stein, you might as well write your own name in, because, you have as much of a chance of winning as Jill Stein. Now, Jill Stein has some good ideas, but she's dishonest about her assessment of the two parties, completely dishonest. To say they have the same thing is just not looking at the historical data. And, when you talk about austerity, there is no doubt that if the Democrats had the House, had the Senate, and had the presidency, that austerity would not be implied. And if you look at the European countries, which are actually much more liberal in general than America, yet they have embraced austerity. The reason America hasn't embraced austerity as much as the European countries is because Obama and the Democratic Congress didn't want to embrace it.
Now, let me come in now, John, because I want to tell Max something, and this is where I try to use humility on myself, right? It is hard. It is very hard to take the position that, let's say, John and myself were taking, because we know there are many on the left who just want to burn the house down, who just want to throw things out the door. And what I tell them is as follows. I care about people too much. I care about you, Max. I care about everybody too much. And I know that assuming that you got a whole lot of people to follow you in such a manner that it'll mostly hurt Hillary Clinton, of course. I know that most of the people you care about too as well, Max, will actually be doing a whole lot worse than if Hillary were there. So what I ask folks like you is, just like I have eaten my humble pie, if that's what it's called, before, I ask all my lefties, eat the humble pie and let's go ahead and work to do exactly what needs to be done. Some people say, let's create a third party. I have a friend, my buddy that I work with and moved to Amen, David Cobb. He talks about making the Green Party that other party. And I looked at him and I said, well, if the Green Party would really organize itself in a fashion that is taken seriously, maybe that could be considered. But right now it simply has not. And that's the reality. If you take a look at the convention that we had there in Houston or other things, that's not the case. It doesn't have the professional veneer that a party needs. Now, my thing that I've always told Cobb is I believe in working within the Democratic Party as a virus would. And that is make the Democratic Party what its values really should be. It's a structure that's already there. There are enough. Bernie proved that there are enough people like you, Max, as well, that can make a difference, that are willing to make that difference. Let's do that. And you as a leader, Max, John, has to be the one who convinced those that are harder to reason with, because you know that we all have that. On the right, on the left, folks that are just tunnel vision in one way of thinking. It is our responsibility then to sort of objectivize, or not object, but delineate these things that we need to talk to our people about and say, we're not leaving anybody behind. We are not stopping. What we're doing is we're making sure that there's another day to survive. Yeah, Max, come on in, brother.
Our parties have left us behind.
Yes,
our system has left us.
Yes.
Has left us behind. Our system, our powers, those in power in these parties have basically.
You're right.
Treat us with contempt. They treat us with.
We know that. You're right.
They have blocked us out. So the whole thing that you guys are talking about, like, oh, there's a difference. It's over, man.
No,
the thing is
Max,
done.
they have not. Max, let me give you a story.
And World War III is right around the corner.
Max, they have not locked us
Sound like Trump.
Max.
He's talking about Hillary like she's the better option.
Max, let me tell you something. They've not left us out. You know what has happened? They've feared us out. Feared us out is different than left us out. Let me give an example to that, all right?
That's all I hear from you guys. Fear. I'm scared of this. I'm scared of that.
No, I'm not. No. I am not scared. I'm not scared. Let me tell you what I'm
scared for my people that this might happen
Max.
to them. No, if we don't stand up for the greater good, we're never going to get
Max, what you're standing up for is not the greater good. You're standing up for the greater good. Isolated. There's a difference. To make a difference, you have to.
It's not isolated.
I love my mother just said something that makes a lot of sense that I want to read here. Do what you have to do until you do what you want to, and that is a very prescient statement. And let me tell you why. I understand where you're coming from, and here's the problem with having a discussion with you, Max. All of the things that you're articulating are correct, right? What you're saying are correct. Where you're failing, in my opinion, to see what we're trying to say is false. Let's use Harris County as an example, because you win the big battles by winning individual. The way the right wing took over this country is by winning in the local elections. They won on their school boards. They won in their local state houses. They won in all these other issues. We ourselves. Say that again.
They want neoliberalism. They want to being right-wingy and then talking the neoliberal talk.
Of course, but here's the deal. But what I'm saying is they won. Okay, they won. People believe them, vote for them, and they won. I mean, I think what you're saying. Here's the deal. Unless you bring people with you to vote for you, at least you're saying to vote for you in a democracy, you're not going to get what you want. What I'm telling you is as follows. Locally, we are encouraging people to go to run. I have been encouraging people over and over to run. Brand new Congress, our revolution. We have to. It's not gonna happen overnight. You are not gonna change. Let's say out of magic, Jill Stein became elected. Let's say out of magic she got elected. What could she possibly accomplish? Virtually nothing. Okay.
Oh, the most important thing, which will she will stop us from going to war.
Oh no!
Which is
no. That's the fundamental misunderstanding of American policy. And let me explain. If you heard my previous shows, my friend, I speak about the president versus the presidency. There are two. The president can want Obama wanted to do a whole bunch of stuff till he encountered the presidency. And I gotta leave now. I gotta close the show down, but okay. I'm gonna leave you with this, Max. There's a difference between the president and the presidency. Secondly, we need folks like you to think deep, and because you have a following, you have folks that listen to what you're saying, and to make that transition to understand what folks like John and I are speaking about. If our movement is to really move forward, we need guys like you to actually be able to I want to say play ball, but that sort of sound wrong. But you understand what I'm saying, Max. We need guys like you to understand that it's not only one way to get the
It's okay. Say it. We need you to play ball. That's basically what it is.
Exactly. Well, if you accept that, let's say that you to play ball, and because you know that the yourself and others, what we're doing is not just playing ball. What we're doing is we have a cause that we're working towards, and we need folks to jump on ship. But you know what? There are some people I can't talk to that you can. You get my point? There are some people that I can't talk to that you can. So we need you on board. But I got to close this show down, guys. It's been great having you, John. It's been great having you, Max. Keep on listening. Keep on calling. It's been great having you, Jack. All of my listeners on Facebook, man, we had a whole bunch today, man, that came in and out. We're going to continue this next Saturday. We're going to continue doing these calls. And Max, we need to keep you on board. All right, brother?
Yeah, I'm always on board. I'm on board for the left wing.
All right. Well, good. You keep on, and I'll talk to you on Wednesday on on Thursday on the KPF show. All right.
Take care.
You take care now, John. Thank you, guys, folks. This has been an extended version of Politics Done Right, only on Facebook Live and Blog Talk Radio. We lost the signal otherwise, but anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. It was a pleasure being with you. I gotta go. Got some blogging to do. Have a wonderful day. Arrivederci. This is Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.